I'll call the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. This is the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation Special Board of Directors meeting for September 9th, 2025. We first need to take a roll to establish a quorum. Essa?
Today in attendance, we have Chair Gary Mackler, Vice Chair Carol Ryman, and Directors Jason Bradshaw, Brad Chun, and Scott Glenn.
Yeah, you made it. Okay, before we go on, I'd like to, since we do have one director, Director Chun attending remotely, I need to ask if there's anyone else with you in attendance.
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you. Also, as we go through our agenda today, we will be inviting the public to give testimony on each agenda item, and I'd like to ask at this time Gordon Pang to come up and explain the rules for giving public testimony.
Hi, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and other members of the board, and of course, Director. Hello to you all. Here are the board's instructions for those in the public who would like to provide oral testimony at board meetings on board agenda items. Number one, each testifier will have 3 minutes to speak per agenda item. Number two, if testifying in person, when the chair asks for those providing testimony, please raise your hand. Number three, all remote attendees who wish to testify will need permission to speak or share screen by clicking on the raised hand icon on your screen. The chair will call upon each raised hand accordingly during the respective agendas. If testifying in person or remotely, when called upon to testify, please state your first and last name and provide the name of any organization you represent. At the 3-minute mark, I will notify you and the audience. You will have 15 seconds to conclude your testimony. Please keep in mind that this is an opportunity for you to share your testimony with the board on agenda items. Neither the board nor the staff are required to answer questions you may ask during your testimony. If you wish to submit written testimony, instructions for doing so are located on the first page of the agenda under the section titled Providing/Submitting Testimony. This is from Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 92-3, and allows you the opportunity to submit data, views, or arguments on any agenda item. Thanks everyone for your cooperation.
Thank you, Gordon. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is move the approval of minutes to the end of our agenda, give you all a little additional time to move them over, please. So going on to section 3 of the agenda, we'll go to item 3A. This is to approve a set aside of dwelling unit revolving funds for supplemental financing to the Hawaii Community Development Authority to be utilized in accordance with the supplemental finance and buyback plan approved on July 2nd, 2025 by the Hawaii Community Development Authority. Units within the Ulana Ward project located at 828 Awahi Street, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813, TMK number 1-1-053001. Is there a motion to approve? And do we have a second?
Second.
I think what I'll do first, Lorna, is ask for public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? Hearing none, we'll turn it over to our staff.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. This for Lorna Kumitani, Real Estate Services Section. This for action seeks to approve up to a total of $3 million in DER funds to supplement the HCDA's buyback plan for units within the Ulana Ward Village project. Recently, the HCDA board approved the buyback plan, including HHFDC's supplemental amount of $3 million. The HCDA expenditure limit is the sum of existing funds in the HCDA's reserve housing subaccount and HHFDC's DERF funds. An estimated total of $50 million will be available for the HCDA's buyback plan. However, the DERF funds will only be utilized after the subaccount is exhausted. Today we have Executive Director Craig Nakamoto and Asset Manager Lindsay Doyle-Lieberton. At this point, I would like to just take a brief pause and let them come up to expand on the program that they
Sure.
just
Fine.
finished.
So why don't you both come on up? Introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Chair Mackler, Vice Chair Ryman, and members of the board. This is Lindsay Doyle-Lieberton. She is our asset manager. And my name is Craig Nakamoto. I'm the executive director. Just a bit of background on this request. You know, with the sheer number of units that are in Ulana, almost 700 reserve units, all reserve units. We felt it necessary to come up with a buyback plan to address the possible buyback of units. And it comes from, I think, some market conditions that are going on. One, high interest rates, also kind of what we see as a kind of a jitteriness in the market in terms of making, large purchases. Also, we've seen through working with Howard Hughes, a little bit of sort of back and forth on buyers, kind of having second thoughts about the units. And finally, because of in the past, we have bought back very few of these units, reserve housing units. We felt that we needed to come up with a strategy to address this. And the strategy, I think, is meant to kind of retain as much as possible these affordable units as affordable for a longer period of time. I'll turn it over to Lindsay if she has anything to add to that.
So I think for the buyback strategy that Craig mentioned, we came up with 4 potential options to enact if someone, say, moves into the unit and doesn't want to live there anymore for any reason during that regulated term. So the first is what we currently do with other regulated term reserve housing units, which is we or a designated entity. Right now, that's the Hawaii Home Ownership Center, can buy back the unit on our behalf. That unit would be purchased at a prescribed buyback price. So it's not a market price, it's a lesser price, and then it would be resold to another qualified income buyer. So it would be retained as an affordable unit. If HHOC purchased it, it would go into their affordable housing program. The second option would be that we find a new buyer for that unit. So we would go out, procure a broker, look for a new wait list of qualified income buyers, and then we would try to match up a new buyer with that unit that would be coming back for buyback. The third would be HCDA buys back the unit at that prescribed buyback price, and then we rent it out for the duration of that regulated term. So we operate it as a regular, kind of like a low income or a regulated rental. We do not currently do that, so that would be something very new to us. And then the last option would be we waive that buyback, so we allow that unit to leave the program, but we do collect the shared equity that is owed to us from that unit. So that one, isn't as preferable because we would lose the affordability of the unit, although we do get the shared equity to put back into future reserve housing programs.
And all of the options that Lindsay summarized is in the staff report that's been prepared by your staff as attachments. Available for any questions. Chair and Vice Chair.
Directors, questions? Questions? Okay, if not, all those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any, and we have Aye. Yeah. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members.
Okay, let's go next to item 3B on the agenda. This is to approve an additional amendment to the dwelling unit revolving fund equity pilot program allocation and quantity of designated DEP units for the Kuile Place housing project at 2599 Kapiolani Boulevard, Honolulu, TNK numbers 12-7 -022-011-015 and 031 and 049. Your motion? To approve? Second, is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony for this agenda? item? Okay. All right, if not, we'll turn it back over to Lorna.
The Kuile Place is a residential high-rise condominium project comprised of a total of 1,005 for-sale units. Comprised of both market and affordable units. The Kuile Place project is the first of the DEP or Deaf Equity Pilot Program project. Initially approved in February of 2024. For a total of 23 units out of a designated 54 two-bedroom, one-bath units. Since then, this board has approved additional allocations, and that's what brings us here today. The Kuile Place project has been successful in selling its affordable units together with its DEP program. The total amount for each unit is $103,300. And to date, a total of $3.6 million in DEP funds has been allocated for 35 contracted and binding designated DEP. At this time, a request is being made for 5 additional units totaling $516,000 for 5 additional DEP buyers, of which 4 have already been approved and is waiting patiently to select one of these listings. Ms. Alana Kobayashi Pakala is here to provide a presentation, status update, if you will, of the progress that's been made on the Kuile Place project.
Director, questions for staff? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Oh, you can write down.
Presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Please come on up.
Yeah.
Shots is supposed to.
So much. Aloha, good morning. Thanks so much for your time. The staff asked that we maybe give a bit of a update on the project overall and then share some information of how the DEP project program has gone. Thank you. Thank you. Great. So we began construction back in December of 24, had the site cleared, and we did our ground blessing in April. Now we're in the process of installing our 390 caisson foundations, and utilities are underway. You'll start to see vertical construction moving up, or the tower starting to form in Q1 of 26, and we're planning on completing the project in Q4 of 27. So our DEP program, just to summarize, we're all two-bedroom, one-bath starter homes. And through the DEP subsidy, it reduced a 120% AMI two-bedroom at approximately $627,000 down to a 100% AMI two-bedroom.
it's the same program requirements as the typical HHFDC homes. Except that obviously there's a focus on particular employment with healthcare workers, law enforcement, educators, and ag field workers. And then also no gift funds were permitted. So again, like Lorna shared, we had our first allocation of 23 units. We're able to sell all of those between April and August of last year. We were allocated another 5 in August, sold those, allocated another 7 in December, and we sold all of those. So now we're here requesting another 5 homes, of which we already have 4 approvals and I believe 1 more underway. Just to share a bit of information, which is just interesting to us, is that actually the HHFDC applications since we launched the program were 201. 50% of the applicants were actually in these segments. We did see an uptick in interest in these professions because we were doing the DEP outreach and advertisement as well. Of our actual DEP contracted buyers, they are majority healthcare at 20, then educators at 13, and law enforcement as 2. We have really attempted to reach the ag community. However, I mean, we do have 2 interested ag workers right now, but we have yet to have a contract of an ag worker. So we received 51 applications, 48 were approved, 5 contracts signed so far. And just to note, some of our buyers that came in initially looking for a DEP home actually ended up realizing they could afford a larger home and went for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or a 3-bedroom. And actually, yeah, so the next piece of information, which we found quite interesting, was the focused on starter homes, I think is playing out well, with 57% of the households being a single person buying their first home. Again, then 26% at 2 people, and then 3 and 4 people making up the 17% or the remainder. Then AMI levels. So we had 14% of our contracts to below 80% AMI, then 23% at 81 to 100, 37 to 101 to 120, and then 26 at 121 to 140. Really interesting that actually 63% of the buyers were above the 100 AMI mark at 101 to 140. An interesting thing that we've seen play out time and time again, that actually higher AMIs don't always equal higher pre-quals, meaning that they can't, just because you have a higher income doesn't always mean that you can qualify for a higher mortgage. So this program has been really impactful to help homeowners become homeowners that wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise. So we were asked how Kuile has been successful at selling out our DEP allocation time and again. We primarily drove it through digital ads. We did do a newspaper listing, but letters to buyers and brokers. We did in-gallery events that were focused on each segment of the workforce. But probably the most productive type of outreach we did was actually this personal interest story. It was Samantha St. John, a dedicated nurse at Kapiolani Hospital, who was our very first DEP buyer, and we did a feature on her in particular, and that did generate the most amount of interest in the program. This is just some information showing where our leads came from in terms of web leads, outside brokers, etc. But really, it really highlights when you actually look at the contracted buyers, how they actually learned. The conversion really was primarily through our team member outreach. And we count that too, I think, because we were the first of the DEP program. All of our team members spent months getting educated about the program. We really understand how it works, the benefits. you know, the two layers or the two separate shared equity was something everyone really had to wrap their mind around and understand. But it's very fair. And so they were able to really advocate strongly for the program out in the marketplace. So key insights, we had limited interest from ag workers. In general, ag workers preferred to live closer to their work, which we would understand. Also, what we saw commonly is police officers, but with overtime and other, I'm sorry, more with spouses, often were over income actually. So they were over the 140 AMI. So it was really more of the newer police officers that would actually qualify. And then we had a lot of interest from kind of adjacent professions, but that weren't determined to be eligible, like University of Hawaii athletic coaches, EMTs, a school librarian, even a dean of students, that all, it was not determined that they were specifically eligible. The gift fund restrictions definitely impacted eligibility, as over half of our overall HHFDC buyers, do have gift funds or co-signing. So limiting gift funds did make it a little more challenging to qualify. We did think that the 2-bedroom, 1-bath starter home with the 10-year hold requirement worked really well, because when someone's looking at 10 years of their life, having a 2-bedroom to grow into makes sense. And one point we also want to make, it isn't actually 10 years. It tends to be closer to 14 to 15 years when you factor in the time they need to wait to be able to move into their home. Yeah, I mean, I think that overall, we've just seen that the DEP program is just incredible, and we really kudos to the HHFDC staff and directors and the legislature for coming up with such an innovative program to focus on our key workforce that's seeing so many challenges. So thank you, and we really hope that this program will become a permanent program, and hopefully our buyers can come out and support it if that's an option at next legislative session.
Directors, do you have any questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Before I call for the question, I do want to acknowledge that we have been joined by Director Sasaki. Thank you. And if you could let us know, Director Sasaki, is there anyone with you in attendance?
There is not. I'm by myself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, before we go on to item 3C, I do want to let the directors know that I have a conflict of interest on this agenda item, so I'm recusing myself and turning the meeting over to Vice Chair Ryan.
Thank you. So item C is to approve the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation's purchase of equity in designated units within the Lima Ola Workforce Housing Development located in Ele'ele, Kauai, and 2, a set aside dwelling unit revolving fund equity pilot program funds for the project. So can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Scott, second? No. Thank you. Okay, do we have any testifiers on this measure? Seeing none. Guess I'll call for the question.
Well, Lorna can.
Oh, sorry, it's down.
Morning.
Good morning.
The Lima Ola Workforce Housing Development Project is a part of the master plan community regulated by the Kauai County Housing Agency. It'll eventually include 555 new affordable housing units comprised of both single family and multifamily homes. The developer had requested funding allocation for its 8-unit development of three homes, sorry. Of its 14 2-bedroom, 2-bath dwelling units. However, based on funding availability, the board is being requested to approve a total of 4 units for these 2-bedroom, 2-bath starter homes. In November 2020, the developer started its infrastructure work and construction plans for the 2-bedroom, 2-bath homes are complete and are in process for submission to the county building. The total of 4 units the total of allocation for the 4 units is 200,400. Although the developer requested for more units, again, based on the funding and because this is a new program for the county in single-family developments, we decided to start with a total of 4 units. If applied or if approved, the total available funding in DP program funds would be $5 million. Executive Andy Friend, I believe, is online and can share a little bit more about the progress of his development. Okay. So the recommendation is that the board approve the purchase of equity for HHFDC in 4 designated units subject to the DP program and availability of funds in the sum of 200,400, and that they authorize the executive director to take all actions necessary to effectuate this action.
Yes.
Does this have the same restrictions like what we just listened to the last project? Nurses, educators,
Yes.
police officers, so it has the same. Okay. Thank you.
There's a hand up for.
Is there a hand up? Oh, Kauai Housing? I see your hand up.
Yeah, hello?
Hi, you have a
Hi.
question?
Yeah, this is Andy Friend. I'm the executive director for Kauai Housing Development. And we are thankful for the opportunity to get some involvement with the DERF Equity Program. And we have applied for these 4 houses, which are part of the first phase of the single family component of Lima Ola. We've already are in the process of building 3-bedroom homes. And starting in December, we will start the construction of these 2-bedroom homes. These are post and pier construction, and of the 2-bedroom, there will be 14 homes. And we will be submitting next week construction drawings to the county for permitting. And it's taken about 6 weeks to get building permits. So we're looking to start end of November, December on the construction, and it'll take about 5 to 6 months to complete the construction. We will start the marketing for these homes right after the new year. And we work with county housing and market these homes to the county's home buyer list. These are first-time home buyers who have gone through home buyer classes that have certificates, and will be going, as they respond to the marketing. County housing will verify their income, and then they will seek financing through a conventional lender for their home loan, and obviously hopefully participate with the DERF Equity Program.
Okay. Directors, any questions? Seeing none? Now can I call for the question? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposition? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Gary?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, we're next moving to item 3D. This is to approve the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation's purchase of equity in designated units within the Kaulu by Gentry Housing Development located in the Hawaii Community Development Authority's Kalailoa Community Development District, Oahu, TMK numbers 19-1-013, 197, 198, and 199 in Kapolei, Oahu. And 2, a set aside of dwelling unit revolving fund equity pilot program funds for the project. Is there a motion to approve this agenda item?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? Hands up. Okay, seeing none, I will turn it back over to Lorna. Lorna, you
Yes.
quite a few things today.
Yes, the real estate services, right, and oversees the administration of the DERF Equity Pilot Program, the program, as part of the HHFDC's home ownership program. So I'm pleased to bring forth these requests for the DP funds. With this award, the total DP funds available for future projects would be $4.7 million. But in this particular case, the Kalulu project is a HCDA development in the Kalailoa Development District. It includes 88 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and 2-bedroom, 2-bath homes and townhomes, subject to the HCDA's reserve. The Kalulu project is currently for sale. And in June of this year, the developer, Gentry Homes Limited, expressed their interest to utilize the DP fund program for its 22-bedroom, 2-bath units being built, which there are 13 unsold units available to qualified purchasers who meet HCDA's eligibility requirements. As the limit for the DP funds, as well as a new project to the DP program, the HHFDC for the real estate services is requesting a total of 4 units, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, under the DEP program, for a total of $247,000. Today we have representatives from Gentry Homes. We have the executive director, as well as the director and manager of governmental affairs and community relations. And I'd like for them to share on the project and the progress that they contain for the sales of.
Okay. Well,
We're all one team anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Kamikawa with Gentry Homes. So we appreciate you guys considering this action here. Just to give a quick update on a construction basis. We're about 2/3 way through on all the site work, infrastructure work, and about a little over 1/3 done with all the vertical construction. We already have over 100 owners, home buyers living in the community. We just felt that this program would be very beneficial to our 2-bedroom, 2-bath units. And we understand that typically, starter homes are, studios or 1-beds, but that might be the case in, the Metro Honolulu area, but out in the Ewa Plain, a lot of young families, young couples. So a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit really is a starter unit for folks out in the Ewa Plain. And as the master developer of Ewa by Gentry, we've seen a lot of buyers buy a small condo from us as a young couple. They buy a 2-bedroom, and maybe 5-10 years down the road, they're buying one of our kind of move up, maybe detached 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom type units. So again, very grateful for the opportunity to work with you folks, and we're here for any questions you have.
Just a brief, hi, I'm Sunny Rosario. I help with community relations. But just a brief, I think way that this would really help us is that our 2-bed, 2-bath are a part of our reserved housing units. And what we're noticing now, right, in the current environment is that there's lots of really well-qualified people who are very interested, but they're just like right on the border between it making sense financially for them going for, something else. And we're located right next to the new VA center. So we do get a lot of traffic there, and we're surrounded by a lot of teachers who are interested, but they're like right on the cusp. And so we believe like this program could really help make a difference for them, like financially being able to move forward. So thank you for allowing us for that.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions? Not all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a couple ayes. We got their votes. Sean, Grant, or did you cast your votes, please?
Yes, I.
So, are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up is, we'll move on to 3E of the agenda. This is to approve resolution number 216, which amends resolution number 174 by increasing the intended issuance amount of the Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds, and 2, requests from the awardee to increase the low-income housing tax credit reservation for the Honua Living Community Project located in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, TMK numbers 37-4-004, 014, and 092. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, and
Second.
we have a second. Is there anyone who would like to offer public testimony? Seeing or hearing none, I will turn it over to staff. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is Ryan Morita. I'm part of the housing specialist at HHFDC, and we'll be presenting today a request for approval of resolution 216, which will amend resolution 174 by increasing the Hula May multifamily tax exempt bonds and increase the low-income housing tax credit reservation for the Honua Living Community Project located in Kailua Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii. For this recommendation, the developer is Honua Living Community LP. The project is situated on about 6 acres and located in Kailua Kona in the county of Hawaii. There are 104 units with 1 manager's unit, product type of 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. The project will consist of 4 4-story buildings and 1 2-story building. The project will target families in the 30, 60, 70, and 80% of area median income range with an affordability period of 66 years. The total development cost for the project is estimated at a little over $81 million. The original award for this project occurred during July 14, 2022 board meeting when the HHFDC board approved a $25.9 million tax exempt issuance for their Hula May multifamily or HMF bond program on the resolution 174, as well as a $2.56980 million in annual federal low-income housing tax credits over a 10-year period and annual state LIHTC for the same amount over a 5-year period from the non-volume cap work-sent LIHTC pool. On February 14, 2025, the developer submitted a request to amend their HMF and LIHTC awards and added an an RHRF request as follows: requesting $40.5 million in tax-exempt bonds from the HMF bond program, $3.96 million in annual federal and state LIHTC from the non-volume cap pool, and $11.3 million loan from the Rental Housing Revolving Fund or RHRF. The RHRF request will be addressed in the subsequent fraction later today. I also would like to share that the developer worked with staff to refine and reduce the 2025 funding round resource ask to help preserve very limited and valuable state financial resources and better revolve our RHRF fund. For example, we're able to reduce our overall, the original RHRF by almost a little over 90,030,000, or about 8.2%, while deferring almost 9% more of developer fee. We increased the RHRF interest of 25 basis points to 2.5%, while at the same time increasing the RHRF pre-cash flow capture from 75 to 90% and decreasing the deferred developer fee repayment from 100 to 95%. So essentially what this does, by working with the developer, we were able to, again, preserve valuable state resources, revolve the RHRF fund from year 1, while also anticipate to decrease the repayment period from 37 years to 30 years, roughly a 19%. After review, the project application for the completeness and minimum threshold requirements, and we scored it competitively for HMF and RHRF, and staff determined that the project was meritorious for an award. From a revenue standpoint, the project, three notable things too. They received 218H entitlements from the State and County of Hawaii from the third quarter in 2021. The project has received acceptance from the State Historic Preservation Division, or HHFDC, and confirmed the grading permit issuance on July 31st, 2025 this year. The project also submitted for building permits in the first quarter of 2024, anticipated to gain approval in the fourth quarter of 2025. It's also notable that the developer's building permit includes the value engineering plans to be more mindful of cost. And particularly given the slate of cost uncertainty such as tariffs, for example. And should the cost savings occur, developers also agreed to share these savings and decrease 50-50. So for every 50 cents, out of every dollar, 50 cents be used to lower the HHF ask if they're and they'll be sharing that during their presentation today. So with this, staff would like to recommend to the board the approval of the following. Point number one, resolution 216, which amends resolution 174 for increasing the intended tax exempt issuance of HMF bonds for the Honolulu Living Community Project for up to 40.5 million from 25.9 million, subject to the provisions and conditions recommended in exhibits F and H of your for action. Point number two, increase the award of annual federal LIHTC over a 10-year period to $3,963,670 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years. And the same amount in the annual state LIHTC over a 5-year period from the non-value cap pool of 4% LIHTC for the Honolulu Living Community Project, subject to the provisions and conditions recommended in Exhibit G and H. And point number three, authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. At this time, we have Carlos Morales of Honolulu who would like to provide a brief presentation. They also have for a Q&A, Mr. Aaron Hutgren from Honolulu and Bill Rice from Synergy.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Executive Director. My name is Carlos Morales. I'm the COO of Honolulu. Not the first time here, and I want to say thank you for the past support and humbly and respectfully ask for your support this action. It's been a very, very long journey. We thought we would detail some of those timelines to go over to how we got to this point and look forward to any questions afterwards. Honolulu is based on the Big Island on the Kona side. The name that was chosen from our Hawaiian cultural practitioner was Honolulu, meaning red earth. But it's also in the Apu'ua, Kealakahe area. And above us is a reference to Honolulu on the right, which is an old ancient forest. So our Hawaiian cultural practitioner thought it would be appropriate name for our project. It's also a very important watershed that provides water below. So the interesting connection of an ancient forest providing water to our project is a really interesting fact of the project. The project area, our project site is identified on the top with the green, light green box, roughly 6 acres. Below us on the same street is Kealakahe Elementary School, as well as Kealakahe Intermediate School. And off to the left is the high school, which are all walking distance from our project. Across the street from us are other multifamily affordable projects in the area. Our project consists of 105 units, 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. Kona has been designated by HUD as a low poverty area, meaning that it's more difficult for low-income families to find affordable housing in the area. Because of that, we were awarded 44 project-based vouchers for the project, which represents roughly 40% versus the normal standard of 25% awards. And that's because of the designation of the low poverty area. We continue to have great relationships with the Hawaii County, full support of the project and the project-based vouchers. Our project is supported, or job supported from our project is estimated to be about 186 units with roughly 614 people housed. Our project has been identified both by the county and the governor's office, being in the top 10 of projects for Hawaii County. And we started our journey back in June of 2020 during the COVID shutdowns, not knowing what the future was going to hold for us. And certainly a lot of projects that started around that time period are still dealing with the effects of the COVID shutdown. A couple months after, or actually a month after that, we were able to execute a long-term ground lease for 55 years. In August of 2020, we had our first community meeting, public meeting held in Kona. This is a rendering of the design at the time, showing our 4-story concept. The building heights were about 40 feet or so, with miscellaneous buildings throughout the site. November of 2020, we submitted our first application for our 21H to Mayor Kim's administration, but that was at the time that there was a transition to Mayor Ross that following January. And during that time period, we were in the process of applying for a project-based voucher application, which got awarded in 2021. And then through the new administration at the time with Mayor Roth and Susan Kuntz as the housing administrator, received our revised 21H application. This is a copy of our March 2021 project-based voucher award letter. In July of 2021, a few months later, doing our work in the field with our archaeologists, we were blessed to have found a beautiful historic flat rock trail. It was dated pre-contact, meaning that it was 1775 or earlier. This is a quotation from Jackson Bauer from the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, Na'alahele, in our AIS, where Mr. Bauer stated that ultimately SHPD has the final say in the preservation of the site, and that Na'alahele was an advisory agency in these cases. He did, however, find it refreshing that the developer was willing to work with him in the preservation of the trail. Once our team knew that this trail was discovered, we took appropriate actions in our designs and trying to be as proactive in the preservation for this, for the community as a whole, but also for the significance of the find. It was also stated that design teams have been modifying the development plans in order to incorporate the trail, so not to diminish the benefits for the community, while also not significantly reducing the number of affordable housing units in the proposed development. So what that meant was that original buildings 3 and 4 and this sort of hand drawing of what the estimated trail was going to sort of path go through, we had to redesign our civil engineering, but also with adhering to the preservation ideas and plans at that time back in July of 2021, keeping the elevations at its natural state, which led to us then shifting our project from 112 units down to the number of 105 with appropriate buffers to the trail. And also, I want to say thank you to our civil engineer, Craig Baldwin at West Sound Engineering, who had the task of trying to figure out how to keep the original elevations of the trail when we had building paths that were supposed to be 8 or 10 feet lower for each of the buildings, and then keeping the grades for the roads, the sidewalk, ADA access. So amazing job from Craig Baldwin and his team. And through this process, Solomon Kailiva, our archaeologist who's been in the field, has gone through every inch of the property with his team to identify different sites. I want to say thank you to him. Jackson Bauer at Na'alahele, who was so excited about the trail and his recommendations for preservation. Chico Figueredo, who in the governor's office has always been in the background supporting the project and asking questions and checking in just to make sure that different state agencies were knowledgeable about our project and was there to assist if there was any issues through the state agencies. And Susan Liebel, with all at the SHPD Department, Archaeology Branch Chief, with all the different correspondence that we've seen with her and her team, especially for our project. I can only imagine all the workload that's going through that division, and want to say a special thank you to her and her staff. September 2021, our 21H was approved, both through the County Plan Commission Committee, I should say, as well as the full council. and was written up in both the Kona newspaper and the Hilo newspaper. And around that time period was the preparation for HFDC. The 2-1-H was tied centered around our rezone, and with the rezone change, we were able to then put together our HFDC application that following February. July of 2022, as it was noted earlier by Ryan, as when our original award was given to us. And all during that time period is when the federal investigation against the former town employee came about. We weren't given notice till September, a couple months after our 2-1-H approval. And noted here in the second headline, victims of affordable housing scheme start lining up. That included both the county as well as our project petitioning our rights in the leasehold of the property and our position of our leasehold. So September 2022 is the notice from the government of the forfeiture, the less pendants of the parcels that we were leasing. October 2022, we filed our petition showing our interest in these properties. November of 2022, the U.S. Attorney is suggesting to us of potentially purchasing the fee simple of those two properties. February of 2023, the attorney sends the appraisal that was done by an appraiser for those properties. March 2023, the courts recognize our leasehold position and at least gives us back the site control that was lost during the time period of all of this investigation. April of 2023 is the courts recognizing leasehold interest. October 2023, there's a order to sell the properties. March 2023, that's approved. October 2024, not too long ago, the fee simple purchase was actually executed. November 2024, a new ground lease of 75 plus years was executed. That led to our ability to reapply for this round in February of 2025, this past February. We have a new executed ground lease as noted. It takes us to October 31st of 2099, very long time from now. July 2025, our SHPD clearance to proceed with a grading permit happened. DCAB on our VE set should be coming back with, I think now we're in the second rounds of comments, so that should be finalized in the next few weeks. The construction budget with our GC, NAN Inc. has been confirmed multiple times and more recently in the last month. And as noted earlier, our building permit approval and estimated timeline is projected for the end of this year. This is a more current rendering of the site plan showing, if you look at the street and the sort of switchback sidewalks, that has to do with the different grades needed for ADA access to the trail. And a more current version of all the civil plans. It's probably now the fourth or fifth version of the civil plans that we had to accommodate kind of a variety of different circumstances outside of our control. But this is for the purposes of keeping the trail at its natural elevation, providing the ADA access, both road systems, sidewalk systems, and preserving the amount of units as well that we have proposed. And just a few different renderings of the project. And with that, open to any questions that
Thank you,
anybody
Carlo,
might have.
for the presentation. Directors, any questions? Second quarter of 2026, you're breaking ground.
Yeah, we with the building permits approvals coming up shortly, clearing SHPD grading permits around the corner. Working with our lenders with closings and all their due diligence. It's all on the radar. I mean, specifically, I would think tied to all the good work through SHPD and DCAB and everybody else at the state, county support, we're ready.
Good to hear. There's no further questions. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
So we got five. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will,
It's certainly. Very close.
Nobody said development was easy. Okay, moving on to item 3F of today's agenda. This is to approve a rental housing revolving fund award for the Honua Ula Living Community Project located in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, TMK numbers 37-4-004, 014, and 092. Can I have a motion? Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a second. Is there anyone in the public who would like to give testimony for this agenda item? Hearing none, we'll turn it back to Ryan.
Thank you. Good morning again. So this is the corresponding RHF award for the same project, Honua Living Community Project in the previous 4 action. As shared, the project was part of the 2025 funding round where it requested various resources, including 10.34 million loan from the rental housing revolving fund RHF. Staff reviewed the project's application and minimum threshold requirements, scored the project under RHF criteria and deemed it meritorious for an award. With this, staff would like to make the following recommendations. That the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the following. Award the project an RHF award loan of $10,340,987 to the Honua Living Community LP for the Honua Living Community Project, with terms and conditions prescribed in its 4 action, and furthermore subject to the following. Point number 1, authorize and approve the governor for the proposed project and release the RHF program funds as mandated under Chapter 15.311 Hawaii Administrative Rules. Point number 2, execution of documentation satisfactory to the HHFDC outline the terms and conditions of the project award. Document shall specify standard terms and conditions as required to meet all statutory requirements of the RHF program, the specific terms and conditions that are applicable to the applicant's request for the project award funds. Point 3, completion of all documentation necessary and required to secure the release of RHF funds. Point 4, certification of the applicant to comply with all applicable statutory and program requirements as they may relate to the use of state funds. Point 5, total fees paid to the developer for the project included but not limited to developer overhead, developer fees, consultant fees, and project management fees shall not exceed the amounts indicated in the applicant's consolidated application and in this 4 action. Point number 6, the availability of RHF program funds. And finally, authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, if not, all those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
On to 3G, which is to approve resolution number 217, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt levies and bonds, and 2, reservation of low-income housing tax credits for the Laipupua B4 HEMA RP project located in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, TMK number 37-04-021. 012, is there a motion? Second, and we have a second. Is there anyone in the public who would like to give testimony for this agenda item? Hearing none, I'll turn over to them.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Mike Doyle, the Finance Branch, here to present the request to award the 4% low-income housing tax credit and Hula May multifamily bond issuance for the Laipupua B4 HEMA RP project. Before we begin, I just wanted to point out a correction in the 4 action. So this is going to be on page 8. So there's no page numbers, but if you hop over, you see it goes to page 6 and then hop it over. It's 0.5 in the middle of the page. It mentions financing of $2,400,030 from the County of Maui Affordable Housing Fund. That should read DHHL. So just a small correction. Okay. So the Laopua V4 HEMA project. The applicant is V4 HEMA LP and the developer is Kalaniani Ole Development LLC. The project is situated on 27.31 acres in Kailua Kona on a leasehold site owned by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Project consists of 30 single-family homes with 10 3-bed, 24 4-bed unit types. The project will target Native Hawaiian families on the DHHL wait list at 60% and below of the area median income and has a 66-year affordability commitment period. The homes will operate as affordable rentals for a minimum of 15 years, at which time they will be offered for sale to the tenants under the DHHL's rent with option to purchase program. The projected sales price in 15 years are approximately $300,000 for the 3-bed and $400,000 for the 4-bed. The project is supported by an operational subsidy in the form of project-based vouchers for 10 of the 30 units, ensuring that those tenants pay no more than 30% of their household income. Total development costs for the project are estimated at $29 million. The project is part of the 2025 funding round applicant group where it has requested the following: $1.4 million in annual federal and state LIHTC from the non-volume pool, $14.75 million in tax-exempt bonds from the Hula May multifamily program, and a $6.5 million loan from the rental housing revolving fund. The development team, as with the other awardees in this round, worked to reduce their original RHRF request by $1.6 million in this case to help preserve valuable state financial resources. The additional permanent capital resources for the project include $539,000 in deferred developer fee and $2.4 million in financing from DHHL. Staff reviewed the project's application for completeness, minimum threshold, and competitively scored the project for HMMF and RHRF alongside the other 2025 applicants and deemed the project meritorious for an award. From a readiness perspective, infrastructure is complete and the site is pad ready for vertical construction. The project will utilize DHHL's prototype floor plans to streamline approvals and reduce costs. Building permit applications were submitted to Hawaii County in February 2025, with permits expected by Q4 2025. Financial closing is expected by mid-2026. With this, staff recommends that the board approve the following. Point 1, resolution number 217, which provides for the official intent with respect to the issuance of revenue bonds up to $14,750,000 for the Laopua V4 HEMA RP project. Point 2, reservation of up to $1,395,975 and federal LIHTC over 10 years and the same amount in state LIHTC over 5 years from the non-volume pool. Point 3, the reservation be subject to the provisions and conditions recommended in exhibits C, D, E, and F of the 4 action. And point 4, authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this 4 action.
Thank you, Mike. Directors, questions for Mike? Okay, hearing none.
Okay.
All those in favor of the motion to approve?
Oh, so
Do you have-
sorry, yeah, we
David?
do have a presentation. We have Christian.
Please continue. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
Christian O'Connor.
Oh, sure.
Come on up.
Gotta have some fun. Do it right. Moving
Fast.
Here's a report for the whole health.
I want to scoot. All right. Aloha board members, hi Dean. My name is Patty Tankayo. I'm originally from Molokai. I was born and raised on Homestead there. And this project is very personal to me because it's more than just
putting a Hawaiian name on it to make it Hawaiian. This is truly a Hawaiian homelands project. In 1917 is when the Queen died. In 1921 is when the Hawaiian Homelands Act was created. And it was created because the people were dying. Our voices, our health, our history, and our culture was all being stripped away. So this is why I put together a team that I thought would be the best to help me to get our people back on the land as quickly as possible and help DHHL. So my partners is Nan Shin, the owner of Nan Inc., Wyatt Matsubara, Sunning Ham, and Christian. So thank you very much for I guess for where's our person over there? Okay, for Mike, for helping us get this project here we're at right now, because this is very important. I can't even explain how important it really is. There are thousands of people on the wait list. In the last 10 days, my 2 pure Hawaiian aunts died. And with them, went a little bit of culture, a little bit of our language. And it's just really sad that so many Native Hawaiians are passing away on the wait list. So thank you very much. And I'm gonna pass it over to Christian to tell you a little bit more about the project. Thank you.
I mean, so Kalani's here with DHHL, and then Wyatt Matsubara is here with Nan and everything Wyatt brings to the table. I mean, so we're really blessed. I mean, Patty has really said it all for us, and Michael did such a great job on the request for action that there really isn't that much to talk about. What we can do is show you some beautiful images and talk about kind of what Patty is really having us all work towards. So you can see these are lots already done and created through DHHL with Nan Inc. And so the lots are already created. They're already ready to go, as Michael said. And then, this is kind of the team generally, and I can really let Wyatt kind of talk about our team and what's been assembled, and you can see some of the imagery of what those houses look like.
Yeah, again, thank you, Wyatt Matsubara, on behalf of Colonial Development and also Nan Inc. Appreciate being here. The one clarification, we don't mind if Maui County wanted to give us funding. We're open, non-discriminatory, but that's okay. That's a great edit. Again, like Patty said, very compelling story. We're coming together with decades and acres of experience. We have a strong development team in place, and we have a strong construction company tied to us. We're ready to move and ready to go quickly. So we're excited about this opportunity and really appreciate it. So thank you.
And then I just want to add too, I mean, Nan's capabilities and what they're bringing to the team. I mean, we've got smart, affordable housing folks, but the horsepower, the energy, all of that. I mean, it's just really nice to have all of that support for us. Just these are the basics. You guys kind of went through some of this. This kind of gives you the location, but the previous presentation did a beautiful job of kind of showing you where we were, and you could actually see our lots from his presentation, and you could see them up there. So just kind of going over some stuff like we talked about, we really think we're going to be able to deliver these homes very quickly. Our production timeline is very rapid. And so we are hopeful that by next Christmas, we may have a few folks moving into these homes. That's our inside date target. That's our goal, having a Christmas miracle for a bunch of families on Hawaiian homelands. So this is the lots again. So we're pad ready. We've got the most beautiful setting, and it's the most connected location with elementary, high school, shopping, retail, everything just right there. This is another view. This project is transformative, as we spoke of. So, you're buying these properties at $300,000, $400,000 in 15 years. I mean, just think about the trend line and the mathematics that creates for these families and the room it creates. So they are affordable. And then the design is community driven, as you heard from Patty, but not just that. She reaches out into every community that we touch. We went to the community that already existed, met with everyone, learned what was missing, learned what was needed, and then started changing design to impact what we already found, and that's all Patty Tenkayo. So, and then everything's attainable because of you all and their supportive financing. So it's just amazing that we get to bring this opportunity. And this is one of the final renderings, so you guys can really see what this thing's gonna look like. I mean, it's 3 and 4 bedroom layout, energy efficient, everything we're working with Holo Holo, who's our local PV people. And they got solar panels, battery packs. I mean, just like what we're seeing everywhere. So we're really excited. Not only does it create affordability, but it creates long-term value and economic prosperity to the families that get the opportunity to rent and then own these. And I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you for your time.
Directors, questions? Anyone? I do have a question. I like the rent to own program. I'm just curious to know how you will work with and prepare the beneficiaries for, because 15 years slips by quickly, and to prepare for that purchase down the road. Do you have?
He's got it. So I'm gonna start it and then I'm gonna pass it on to the. So one of the big things that we are doing is we really don't wanna pass up our beneficiaries. In years past, let me apologize real quick. Kalani Fronda representing DHHL. I am a DHHL beneficiary and also serve as the acting administrator for the Land Development Division. So our new approach is really looking at options. And what we're doing is working on issuing project leases ahead of time. So we are able to work with the beneficiaries to find out what kind of financial capacity they have, walking with them, identifying different types of lending products, providing those data numbers to the developer so they can program the vertical in that way. And so this is really key for us to look at this as an option because some of our beneficiaries only fit in that category because of the AMI, the credit score, the household, etc. And this is a great opportunity for them to right now be able to occupy a place. And then from there, they work with the developer and the management company. And this is where I toss it on to Patty.
Thank you. When we were first looking at the project, what I did was I went over to the Big Island and I actually talked to a lot of the people who have or are in current rent with the option to purchase project homes, sorry. And what I'm doing is designing a program especially for DHHL rent to own. Rent with the option to purchase. So I think I'm gonna be answering your question. It's going to be something that's gonna be carried on for 15 years. To get them educated, not, they always say, oh, they have to learn how to fix their credit. No, gotta go beyond that. Yeah, like what does an appraisal mean? What is the stock market? What is closing? What is escrow? We're gonna teach them about building wealth. So that's the program we're gonna have. We're not gonna have like your typical financial training.
So it's really important for us to provide someone to walk with them. And that's been missing. They've been sitting there waiting. How do I build this? Where do I go for financing? Now we're partnering with service providers. We're partnering with our developers to walk with our beneficiaries. So they understand what is their kuleana, what is their responsibility, and how can they fulfill it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
And then just documentation wise, it's a 10-year process. We'll be holding their hands for about 10 years. So that first 5 years they get in. And then DHHL has a prescribed process that's really being driven by the Waipaoli project and that rule-making, process-making, and that will be carried through all of our projects, I think, rent with option to purchase. So they have this process they're working on, and it is a long-term commitment to train and develop those capabilities.
And just a follow-up question, to mention the purchase prices would be 300 or 400 respectively. Is that based on the estimated or projected amount of debt that?
You've got it. So it's really just remaining debt times 1.15, like 15% just to give us room, and that 15% then adjusts based on actual expenses. So that's just our, making sure we've got enough room there in our pricing estimate. But if there were cash flow issues, other issues, that would then affect the final purchase price. So, but the community working together, holding hands is what gets it actually could be even lower at the end.
And if I may add one more thing in, and that is really giving the assurance to the beneficiaries that in this 10, 15 years, that they will receive a project lease. And the project lease is an assurance that if anything happens with them during that time, they can actually pass it on to a 25% successor, which has been really key because people have been dying on the list.
Thanks very much. That is critical.
Another question?
Anybody else? That's it for questions. All those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take the next agenda item and then take a break. So, we'll go on to item 3H, which is to approve a rental housing revolving fund project award for the Laipupua before Hema RP project located in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, TMK number 37-04-021-012. Is there a motion to approve? We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there anyone from the public who would like to give testimony? If not, back to you.
Thank you. So this is the corresponding RHRF award for the same project in the previous for action, Laipua V4 Hema RP. As mentioned, the project was part of the 2025 funding round where it requested various resources, including a $6.5 million loan from the Rental Housing Revolving Fund. Staff reviewed the project's application, minimum threshold requirements, scored the project under the RHRF criteria, and deemed it meritorious for an award. With this, staff recommends the board approve the following. An RHRF project award loan of $6,476,679 to V4 Hema LP for the Laipua V4 Hema RP project with the terms and conditions prescribed in the for action. And furthermore, subject to the following. Point 1, authorization and approval by the governor for the proposed project and the release of RHRF program funds as mandated under Chapter 15-311 Hawaii Administrative Rules. Point 2, execution of documentation satisfactory to the HHFDC outlining terms and conditions of the project award. Documents shall specify the standard and specific terms and conditions as required to meet all statutory requirements of the RHRF program. Point 3, completion of all documentation necessary and required to secure the release of RHRF funds. Point 4, certification of the applicant to comply with all applicable statutory and program requirements as they may relate to the use of state funds. Point 5, total fees paid to the developer for the project, including but not limited to developer overhead, developer fees, consultant fees, and project management fees, shall not exceed the amounts indicated in the applicant's consolidated application and in the for action. Point 6, availability of RHRF program funds. And finally, to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. Thank you.
Questions, directors? All those in favor of the motion to approve? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries.
Thank you.
So at this time, before we go on to the next agenda, I'm gonna take a 10-minute recess.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you. Not at all, man, not at all.
We're ready. We're back from recess. The next agenda item is item 3I. And before we get into this agenda item, I would like to ask for the board's consideration to defer this agenda item either to the next regular board meeting or possibly to a special board meeting specifically to work on the QAP. And the reason I'm asking for the deferral is because I think, given the importance of this policy decision that we have as a board and all of the divergent viewpoints that come to us each time we try to update the QAP, and that includes our staff, that includes public testimony, individuals, nonprofit organizations, political leaders, and others. I think it would be useful to have an opportunity to work through each of the particular proposed amendments to the 2026 QAP before we consider approving the QAP. So that's my request to the board, and if there's any discussion, I'd like to open it up now for discussion.
I think a special meeting probably sounds better for this particular agenda item, since it's probably gonna take a while.
I agree.
It's a good idea.
It's very complex.
Grant, Sean, you guys want to chime in?
I agree with that as well. Yeah, no objections.
Okay, thank you. And as part of, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and defer this to and maybe what I can ask you, Essa, to do is throw out some dates to see what works for the group for a special meeting. And then what I'd also like to request is to have the public testimony that is posted on the HHFDC website, which is accessible, but to have it created as a package that can be distributed via email to each of the board members. Yeah, okay. So, okay, with that, you got anything more on that? Good. Okay, so we'll defer this item 3I and go on to item 3J, which is to approve modifications to the approved dwelling unit revolving fund interim loan for the Kai Olino Building A project located in LA, Hawaii, TMK number 42-1-010-062. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
And we have a second. Is there anyone in the public who would like to give testimony on this agenda item? Hearing none, we will proceed to have staff present. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you, Chair and members of the board. I'm Michelle Leong with the Development Branch. This for action is to request approval for modifications to the approved dwelling unit revolving fund or DURF interim loan of up to $12 million lent to the developer, Oahu Partners LP, for the Kai Olino Building A project, hereafter project, located in Ele'ele on the island of Kauai. The DURF loan was previously approved at the June 12th, 2025 board meeting, and the approved June 4 action is included in Exhibit A for reference. Just to provide a recap, the purpose of the approved DURF loan is to partially finance the project, which involves the reconstruction of a new 3-story building A comprised of 24 units and the partial reconstruction of a new 1-story management office, both of which were damaged on February 25th, 2024 by a fire. The project is part of the larger Kai Olino Phase 1 development comprised of Building A, Building B, and the management office. Building B was not damaged by the fire and lease up of all 24 units is completed. The developer obtained builder's risk insurance for the Kai Olino Phase 1 development from underwriters at Lloyd's, London, or Lloyd's, with a primary policy limit of $15 million. The developer also obtained excess insurance coverage for the Kai Olino Phase 1 from Great Lakes Insurance, bringing the overall total of both policies to approximately $24 million. As described in the June 4 action, the developer anticipated their insurance policies would provide approximately $24 million in insurance proceeds for the reconstruction of the project, of which approximately $7 million has been dispersed. The balance was expected to be provided once the final loss numbers were agreed upon. As a result, the developer proposed repaying the DURF loan within 1 year, with a lump sum insurance proceeds anticipated to be available prior to the completion of construction. Shortly after the June board meeting on June 23rd, 2025, the developer informed HHFDC of a letter they received from Lloyd's attorneys contesting the developer's insurance claim, essentially disagreeing with the amount to be paid for the damages that resulted from the fire. Lloyd stated that they were willing to pay approximately $8.4 million or an additional $1.4 million above the $7 million advance to date. Subsequently, on July 16th, 2025, the developer's attorney filed a civil complaint against Lloyd's, primarily with the purpose of recovering the full amount of the Lloyd insurance policy limit. In the event that the developer wins the lawsuit and or is successful in recovering the approximately $24 million in insurance proceeds, the sources of funds for the project are intended to remain as shown in the June 4 action and in sections 2E and F of this 4 action. In the event that the developer is not successful in recovering the approximately 20 insurance proceeds, there will be a gap in the developer's permanent financing. Consequently, the developer is proposing to apply to HHFDC for a rental housing revolving fund or RHRF loan to fill the gap in permanent financing. Sections 3G and H of this 4 action show the hypothetical sources of funds for the overall Kai'olino Phase 1 development, as well as just for the project under the worst case scenario in which the developer does not win the lawsuit, only receives the approximately $8.4 million from Lloyd's, and thus applies for an RHRF loan to take out the DERF loan of $12 million. However, this 4 action makes no representations or warranties about the availability or approval of any RHRF loan to the developer. Therefore, this 4 action seeks board approval for modifications to the approved DERF loan, primarily including an increased loan risk profile due to the uncertainty created by the lawsuit and updated terms aimed to mitigate this increased loan risk as shown in section 3J and K. Specifically, the DERF loan type and the loan term change from being a low risk to a moderate risk. Therefore, HHFDC is requesting to be behind Bank Hawaii and American Savings Bank to be in second position for the fee simple interest in the Kai'olino Phase 1 property and for the interest in the leasehold, where both the interest in the property and the leasehold will be secured by a mortgage, which would change the security of the loan from high risk to moderate risk. In comparison, the June 4 action proposed HHFDC to be in third position for just the fee simple interest in the property. Overall, the requested DERF loan remains at moderate risk. To conclude, staff respectfully requests that the board authorize the recommendations listed in section 4 of this 4 action, which includes approving the modifications to the approved DERF loan of up to $12 million subject to the conditions listed. The developer is here today and is available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Director, you have questions for Michelle? Connie's here. Would you like to come up?
Sure.
Can you give an update of the project itself overall?
Yes, good morning, Chair, members of the HHFDC Board. I'm Makani Maeva, the president of the AHE Group. The project, as you've heard, was burned. One portion of the project was burned in February of 2024. It's 100% loss as to one building. The project at the time was about 85% constructed. We went on to complete, that was building A, so building A burned down. Building B, we went on to complete and to now it's 100% occupied. We also have phase 2 of this project, which is we call building C, and building C is also complete and 100% occupied. So we have 2 of the 3 buildings are as planned, and we just would like to move forward with rebuilding building A. As you've heard, we filed a lawsuit against Lloyd's to compel them to pay under our policy. We need $15 million from Lloyd's, and then we'll move to the excess coverage that we're entitled to. I think this is the best course of action to build now. It strengthens our case, and they've asked to remove our case from Kauai Court to the federal court because of jurisdictional differences of the parties, and we're rejecting that and asking it to be held on Kauai. So I think that the argument is what the real cost of rebuilding the project are. We have an estimate from the contractor, the same contractor. We've just signed a change order for $14.6 million to rebuild the project. So we are proceeding with a rebuild for $14.6 million, or this DERF loan would allow us to do that. This is the strongest argument for what the replacement cost is. And interestingly enough, The builder's risk policy that we just placed to rebuild the project is with Lloyd's of London. And in that policy, they've recognized that the project costs are $18 million. And that doesn't, of course, include the carrying costs of interest and the cost of all of the adjusters with the tax credit investor, et cetera. But we have a very strong case, I believe. And we are hopeful that we will get all of our insurance proceeds. It was an abundance of caution that I shared with the HHFDC staff that we had received this letter after we'd received our loan approval, because I just wanted them to know this could go out longer than we anticipated. I'm glad that we worked together, and I appreciate all of the comments and back and forth so that we worked together to come up with an alternative plan so DERF doesn't get stuck as a long-term solution, because frankly, we can't afford it. Even at the very reasonable interest rate, we simply, our transaction cannot afford this much debt at 3% interest over a long period of time. So a move to RHRF is what we'd like to consider as a takeout if in fact we get to that place and we don't have our insurance proceeds. The other thing to consider is doing this now means that our shoreline, our SMA permits continue to remain in effect. We received an extension for those. Our building permits are going to continue to be active with the Kauai County, and there's been no changes to the building code. And importantly, we have a contractor who is agreeable to building it today at this price, and we have no, it's a guaranteed maximum price. We have no adjustments for tariffs or anything. So we really, really, really think that if we strike now, we can build this and we can deliver these 24 units. If we were to wait and if somehow we weren't to get the DERF, then the contractor will go away, the building permits will expire, the SMA will expire, and it would be unlikely, I believe, that we'd be able to build this for this price. So thanks for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Directors, do you have any questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you.
Okay, going on to item 3K of the agenda. This is to approve release of the declaration of land use restrictive covenants for the Ohana Hale Affordable Housing Project located in Macaulay, Oahu, PNK number 1-3-028-004. Have a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, before you go on, Albert, good morning. Anyone in the public would like to give testimony? Give your testimony. Hearing none, we'll turn it over to Albert.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. My name is Albert Palmer. I'm the Development Section Chief at HHFDC. Ohana Hale is a proposed 180 unit affordable and market rate for sale condominium housing project located at 929 Pumehana Street in Honolulu. On May 8th, 2025, the board received the for information discussing the project. The for information is attached as Exhibit A. The May 8th for info discussed, among other things, the fact that the project's 201H exemptions had expired, that a dwelling unit revolving fund loan for the project had been terminated, and that HHFDC had no further remaining involvement in the project except for two things. The first being that HHFDC has not yet released its declaration of land use restrictive covenants stemming from the now expired 201H exemptions. The second being that HHFDC is named in a consolidated lawsuit relating to the project. The for info also discussed that since the 201H exemptions have expired and the DERF loan has been terminated, HHFDC may seek to remove itself as a party from the lawsuit, which may require removing its declaration from the property. This for action seeks the board's approval to release the declaration. Staff's recommendation is that the board approve the release of the declaration and authorize the executive director to take all actions necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action.
Any questions? Board members? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3L is our next agenda item. This is a for information regarding the Kuhio Park low-rise Phase 1 located in Honolulu, Oahu. TMK number is 1-3-039-006 and 008.
Hi, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and then members of the board. Haley Chow, the housing specialist from the finance branch, reporting on the information regarding the Hill Park Low Rise Phase 1 project, also for the KPLR1. First, I'd like to present to the board of the project background. Project has approximately 335,650 square feet of residential and common area, and is located in Honolulu, Oahu. The project is a new construction of 304 units, affordable rental housing facilities, and has an affordable commitment of a period of 65 years. The project targeted for families with a household earning between 30 to 60% of AMI. It consists of one 8-story and 3 6-story residential buildings and 2 wash houses. Product types include a mix of studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom units, and 2 manager units. Families living in those units will have range, refrigerator, air conditioning, disposal, LVP, window coverings, cable TV, high-speed internet access, and the private 9 in ground floor units. The project also provides amenities including playground, top lot, picnic area, community meeting room, dishwasher, elevator, computer with high-speed internet, walking path, fitness loop, washing houses, and the community gardens. On January 11, 2024, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved the following with the 4 action attached as Exhibit A. First is the $8,384,158 in annual federal LIHTC over a 10-year period, and $8,384,158 in annual state LIHTC over a 5-year period. Up to $48,556,752 loan from rental housing revolving fund, interim and permanent. Alongside those HHFDC funding sources, the city and the county of Honolulu provided a private activity bond commitment of $92,995,000 for the project, dated October 23, 2020. Next, I would like to provide the board with the project status updates. On January 10, 2025, the executive director of HHFDC administratively extended the RHR loan closing deadlines from January 11, 2025 to October 11, 2025. On March 20th, 2025, the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, which is called HPHA, approved the transfer and assignment of the development rights for this project from Michael's Development Company 1 LP to HCDC Kuhio Park 1 LLC. With this, the awardee was changed from Kuhio Park 2 LLC to KPLR Phase 1 LP, approved by HPHA for action attached as attachment Exhibit B. The project updated the milestones as following. All the building permits are already issued. The loan closing is project in the Q3 of 2025. The construction starts in the same quarter, shortly after the closing. The construction completion is projected in the Q1 of 2028, and then stabilized occupancy is project in Q2 of 2029. And updated consolidated application dated in June 24th, 2025 was forwarded to HHFDC by the new awardee, KPLR Phase 1 LP, which incorporating all the substantive changes to this project since award. Staff reviewed and evaluated the updated information to confirm the funding program award merits. So changes to the project source and uses since original board are noted in Exhibit C. Summaries of the substantive changes are as follows. First, the updated total development cost of $216,968,205 represents an increase of $35,345,938, which is also a 19.46% of increase from the previous approved budget. This is mainly attributed to the escalation in construction, interim, and the soft cost, and the increased contingency. Those changes are mitigated by the following financing sources. First is the increase in permanent light tech equity of $16,372,867. For projects financed with tax exempt bond and 4% of LIHTC, HHDC will determine the final credit amount upon the project completion and the certification of the actual eligible basis, consistent with the federal law and the program requirements. No supplemental application will be required. HHDC will allocate a federal LIHTC based on its review of the final cost certification, specifically, which will be an amount equal to the products of the approved qualified base and the 4% minimum rate. And any award of additional state credits are subject to availabilities of the program resources. And also, next source is in increase of tax exempt bond from the city and county of Honolulu, increase from $92,995,000 to $107,710,000. The resolution 25-198 was heard and approved by City Council on August 6, 2025. City and County of Honolulu Affordable Housing Fund award of $8 million dated July 10, 2025. This source is being processed for approval with the City Council alongside the increase in bond. Operating subsidies totaling $1,345,020 via 65 project-based vouchers from HPHA. And also increase in interim deferred developer fee from $936,409 to $9,364,091. And an increase in permanent deferred developer fee from $936,409 to $1,886,906. There's no increase required for RHR FOMO. This project is currently on bond calls and has received approval for issuance from the City and County of Honolulu in August 2025. Financial closing is expected in September 2025, and with commencement of the construction to follow shortly after the closing. Representatives from the development team, Mohana, the president of High Ridge Costa, is present for any questions from the plan.
Want to come up with?
Good morning, Mohana, President High Ridge Costa. I have with me our founder and CEO, Mr. Michael Costa here as well. I think Haley did a tremendous job in summarizing more facts than I could possibly retain. So thank you. I want to thank HHFDC for their hard work, working through this, the county, HPHA, and many other team members without which we could not be here today. I always say this business humbles us. It cannot be done by just us, but by all our partners that are with us. I'm available for any questions.
Directors, questions? Okay, if not, thank you very much for being here. Thank you. It's like you're breaking ground really soon.
Couple weeks.
Good. Okay, so if there's no questions or further discussion, we will move on to the next agenda item. Which takes us to item section 3M. This is information on the state of Hawaii program year 2024, which is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Office of Community Planning and Development's Home Investment Partnerships, National Housing Trust Fund, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS programs.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is Carrie Diga, and I'm a housing planner here at HHFDC. This informational item provides a summary of HHFDC's consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, or CAPER, for program year 2024. The completion of the CAPER is required by HUD annually and reports on the progress being made in administering the Home, National Housing Trust Fund, special allocations of the Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS program. HHFDC is the lead agency that oversees the consolidated plan and is responsible for administration of the home and HTF programs. The Homeless Programs Office of the Department of Human Services is responsible for administration of the ESG Rush and HOPWA programs. So table 2 on page 3 shows the accomplishments for the home program during the program year, covering the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. In program year 2024, the County of Hawaii completed its Kaloko Heights Affordable Housing Project located in Kailua Kona. Totaling 100 units, 6 are home assisted. The County of Hawaii also completed its 2018 tenant-based rental assistance program, which assisted a total of 93 households. Also in program year 2024, the County of Kauai completed its Waimea Huakai self-help subdivision project, a for-sale housing project, which totaled 30 units. 5 of these units are home assisted. The Homeless Programs Office of the Department of Human Services administers the ESG Rush and HOPWA programs, which provides supportive services and assists individuals and families who are living on the streets or in shelters with finding and maintaining permanent housing. Activities and accomplishments for these programs are progressing or are on target for their respective deadlines and are summarized on. Under the National Housing Trust Fund program in program year 2024, the County of Hawaii completed its Kaloko Heights Affordable Housing Project, as mentioned earlier, which produced 6 HTF assisted units out of the 100 total units. For program year 2024, the City and County of Honolulu elected not to receive HTF funds. Therefore, the entire allocation of $3,144,833, less 5% for HHFDC's administrative costs, were allocated to Hawaii County and will be used towards the new construction of affordable rental housing units. HHFDC will continue to offer the 50% of the state's annual HTF allocation to the city. The 15-day comment period for the CAPER ended on August 28th and no comments were received. The full draft CAPER is available for review on the HHFDC website, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Directors, questions for Carrie? I have a quick one regarding JODOS, the Community Housing Development Organization. How many do you have certified statewide?
I don't have the number. Say 4.
4? Okay. Well, it's been a challenge since the inception of the program, of the whole program.
An ongoing challenge.
Is HUD relaxing their rules for JODO eligibility?
They've had waivers, but not as far as not really. Yeah, and it's more situational when they do issue out a waiver.
Well, with 4, does the island have a certified JODO or is it?
That's what it is.
It's 1 for.
And maybe 2 on here. That's
50% of the good.
Yes, always annually 15% of the grants set aside for.
Any other questions for Carrie? Okay, no, thank you. So the submittal goes to HUD.
September 30th.
September 30th. Okay.
Yes, we'll finalize it, package it up and put it off to HUD.
Send it on its-
Another program year.
Thank you. Thanks for all your work. It's a lot of it. We're only looking at 4 pages, but I know it's a lot of work to put that together. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll go on to item section item 3N, which is information on the 2025 analysis of impediments to the Fair Housing Choice Report.
Okay.
We have a presentation.
It's me again.
Awesome.
Good morning. Again, Carrie Higa, Housing Planner here at HHFDC with another informational item. So this for info provides an overview of the 2025 analysis of impediments to fair housing choice report, or call it the AI, which is updated every 5 years in alignment with HUD's DPD consolidated planning cycle. The state's comp plan was recently submitted to and reviewed by HUD and as a participating jurisdiction and as a condition of receiving these HUD CPD funds, we must continue to promote fair housing, not just for the HUD programs, but across all programs. June 2024, HHFDC entered into a memorandum of agreement with the University of Hawaii at Manoa's Social Science and Research Institute to prepare this 2025 AI report. The AI identifies impediments to fair housing in Hawaii and provides us with recommendations to address each impediment. It also includes demographic data, historic background, and describes the current fair housing landscape in Hawaii. So as the lead agency on this project, HHFDC was responsible for oversight of the agreement with UH and partnered with other housing agencies, including DHHL, HPHA, and the housing agencies from all 4 counties. And the final report was delivered in March of 2025. I will now turn things over to Jennifer Dara Okike of UH here with us in person, and Philip Garboden of the University of Chicago joining us remotely to deliver a presentation on just a few of the report findings.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. Jennifer Dara Okike from UH Manoa. I'm here presenting on behalf of our UH Fair Housing Research Team, which consists of colleagues listed here and others listed on the full report. We're from the College of Social Sciences as well as UHERO. And as Carrie shared, this report, the large report, was prepared for the following state and county agencies: HHFDC, of course, DHHL, HPHA. I'll go quickly through the acronyms. City and County of Honolulu, DCS, County of Hawaii, Office of Housing, Community Development, County of Maui, Department of Housing, and Kauai County Agency. And I want to begin by acknowledging the leadership of HHFDC, especially Carrie Higa and Diva Tase, for convening this work. And we also want to acknowledge the participation of all the member agencies, as well as members of the public who informed this report. So as Carrie mentioned, the purpose of the analysis There we go. The purpose is to identify barriers for fair housing for Hawaii's diverse groups, including classes of individuals who are protected under both state and federal fair housing laws. And of course, to compile recommendations to inform agency planning. This is also to ensure alignment and compliance with federal guidelines. So as you can see, the analysis draws on a range of data sources and analytical approaches, including what's listed here. Slide. And this was led by myself and some of our sub-teams of experts from UH.
The report covers a very wide range of issues in order to make it useful across contexts and across agencies. So this chapter and topic overview will give you a feel for what is contained. And of course, a copy of the full report is available on the HHFDC website. We definitely encourage agencies, individuals here, members of the board and others to take a look at specific chapters that would be relevant, as well as our master summary of recommendations. So it is a large report, but by including a master summary, we hope that it is useful. So for the rest of this presentation, I'll highlight just a few findings deemed most relevant to HHFDC. So first, related to technology and digital tools, respondents from the public and experts we spoke to voiced a special concern for senior citizens and those with disabilities. This is especially important in the context of increasing reliance of online tools for housing program applications, information. Therefore, recommendations include the following points listed here. Won't read them all verbatim, but overall, we stress keeping multiple modes open for applications and information: phone, old-fashioned mail, face-to-face, in-person access, and of course, digital platform language should be clear with limited complexity. Next, regarding subsidized housing siting. So our demographic analyses demonstrates that Hawaii does have relatively few areas of concentrated poverty. However, across 4 subsidized housing programs that we analyzed, subsidized households are more likely to live in higher poverty areas as compared to all households, as well as compared to renter households only. Housing choice voucher recipients and those living in LIHTC projects do fare better in terms of exposure to poverty. So good news there is that the large majority of those families do live in lower poverty areas, although the prevalence is still greater than the shares within all households as well as renter households. Public housing residents do have the highest exposure to neighborhood poverty, and project-based Section 8 areas also have slightly less but higher poverty concentration. And so this is a concern given that exposure to poverty can serve as a barrier to economic mobility as well as general well-being. And of course, we know this is essential to your mission here, and we affirm, efforts to continually fund and promote the siting of subsidized housing in low areas. Of course, this can also be helpfully supported by community outreach to express public concerns. We did uncover public concerns specifically around traffic and change to neighborhood characters. We also did highlight specific recommendations to protect voucher holders. We found that voucher households do face discrimination. And this continues even after the passage of State Act 10, which was designed to prevent discrimination based on source of income. This was an important law, but in the report, we note ways that this significant intervention can be strengthened. Moving on. In discussions with property managers and realtors, we also heard repeated concerns about renters with disabilities, mental illness, as well as those with past experiences of homeless. As such, we highlight recommendations that state agencies might encourage incentives and funding for wraparound support services, even housing navigation or counseling, including when awarding funding or prioritizing tax credit projects. We also encourage continued public and landlord education to dispel stereotypes, including for those providing housing on the private market in order to enhance tenant protections. Getting to the end, the last 2 slides emphasize the issue of disability. So our analysis continues to underscore the challenges faced by those with disabilities. So this is compounded by both an acute shortage of affordable housing supply, but especially supply that allows for what's called visitation or aging in place over the life course that would be suitable for those with physical disabilities. Looking at formal complaint data trends, so this comes from data provided by Legal Aid Society of Hawaii or LASH, as well as HUD and Hawaii Civil Rights Commission or HCRC. So this is just a slice of some of the formal complaints that are coming from the public. And these formal complaint trends continue to show that disability and retaliation are among the most frequent types of fair housing places. So we recommend a continued focus on this issue. Discrimination based on sex and gender, race and color, and family status are also top concerns. In the data, national origin and language concerns are more common for Micronesian households. We wanted to underscore that we also heard community responses, highlighting the need for a focus and education about and outreach focused on Micronesian origin households, as well as English language learners. I will say that we have limited data that indicates both race, ethnicity, and the source of complaint, but I want to highlight that among all groups, regardless of racial and ethnic background, disability is the top complaint. However, among those who are Micronesian, the largest categories of complaints do relate to national origin and ancestry, so that would include language. With the next most common category of complaint relating to family status, just again for those Micronesian households. So there are some unique barriers facing those groups. And finally, I'll end with a quick overview. A large portion of the report, this was led by my colleague, Lorinda Riley. A large portion of the report did address the potential for policy and preference tools that could be used to prioritize local residents for affordable housing programs. Now, this is a really rich part of the report. I'd encourage you to look at the details if you're interested. These tools, some of which are already in use, do show promise, and the report draws on focus group data and other policy and legal reviews and points out ways that these kinds of initiatives can very much support and be in alignment with fair housing priorities. So I'll end here. Again, give my thanks for allowing us to participate in this work. Please feel free to follow up directly with questions, and please feel free to consult the full report. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions for?
Yeah. We're seeing at the national level with the new administration, a lot of changes to race, ethnicity, gender identity, a lot of attacks, at least in that area. Are you seeing that at the HUD level or anticipating changes there regarding what you just discussed?
It's a great question, a very timely issue, and I will defer that tricky question to Carrie, who's directly interfacing with HUD. But I think one thing that we tried to be mindful of in completing this report, which we completed, as Carrie said, the final draft was in March. And so this was before some of the new executive orders were rolled out, and then we actually did a final update in May. But we wanted to be mindful that we have state laws as well that we're committed to upholding, regardless of anything contested at the federal level. And so regardless of changes that happen at that federal level and de-emphases in terms of issues of preventing discrimination, I think that, you know, your important work here is very much, you know, informed and guided as well. So anything that you would say from the HUD side?
We just submitted our recent 5-year comp plan. And it was reviewed by the Community Field Office as well as Washington. And it came back with just a couple of comments. I would not say we felt a lot of it. If anything, it's just, you know, a couple of language, you know, the choice of word. And yeah, it got approved pretty with minimal issue. But we will continue to pay attention to that.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you. I guess that concludes the long section 3 of today's meeting agenda. We'll go next to the fourth section of the agenda, which is the report by the executive director.
My report is in writing the board packet. Some highlights that I'll discuss are Ohale Ola Ie might recall there was an MOA between HHFDC, DOH and the County of Maui, whereby operation of the facility was transferred to the Department of Human Services starting in July. That unfortunately couldn't occur. FBC is going to continue to manage and operate all the OEAs until the end of August 2026. That's because Department of Human Services does not have the statutory authority to manage the facility. So I think that just highlights how unique HHFDC is, our authority and abilities. We have the statutory authority to operate this facility in its current use to house survivors of the wildfire. And we're very fortunate to have the staff capabilities in terms of both the project management staff and the fiscal staff to basically run this property in its current use. DHS is going to be loaning us a property manager, so that will help with staff burden. Also want to note that there are a couple of 218 projects making their way to the county councils. The first projects that are going to the county council, new act which limits their ability to impose conditions on projects. I'm happy to report that the La Lima project, which the board approved just last month, was approved by Honolulu City Council, so we're very happy for that. And the Kahului Civic Center project, which was approved several months back by the board, is making its way through council. And was that a council committee meeting or a council meeting? I think it was a committee meeting that was approved yesterday. 9-0. Yeah. And so we're just pending final council approval. And finally, want to note that the Naulu project or the Halawa View project that is grand opening last month. This is 302 affordable units. They had a myriad of challenges to work through. They were approved right before COVID, so we had to deal with the pandemic, cost increases, labor shortages, scrutiny by the Pearl Harbor Naval Base next door. But they made it through all of that, and they did have their opening last month. That concludes my report. If you have any questions?
Not, before we adjourn, I do want to ask for a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from October 14th, 2025. Have a second? Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I think we'll find a second somewhere. All those in favor say
Aye.
aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. Thanks, Gary.
Oh, well.